Everyone for the evening question and answer session. Now today we have written questions. So I will start with the written questions. If you have any other things to raise while the discussion is going on, you're welcome. Can you briefly explain how keeping silence at a retreat can help us in our spiritual development? So this question can be answered in two ways. What are the advantages of the silence and what are the disadvantages of the talking? When I was in Burma, my teacher Upandita is very strict on it. He says when you are talking, not only you are vibrating your mind, you are vibrating yet another person. That's a crime. So therefore let the others to entertain the silence. So therefore don't engage in talking. And the other one is, if you wish to know the disadvantage of talking, what you can do is, you can just chat 5 minutes with another person and directly go and sit. Then you can see how the mind is chatting again 10 minutes for what you have already talked with. So very difficult to bring it to a particular object which is being already analyzing and giving commentaries of what you have already talked. So therefore these are the simple thing. And the other thing is that in the meditation sitting, of course this is regarding the retreat, what we try to do is reducing the amount of incoming of the sense impeachments. So then only the beginner find easier to tackle whatever may be coming. So therefore you must at any cost should not add anything to this more and more sense impingements, the visual things or something to hear, smells and talking and all the kind of. So therefore each one has to respect others' silence and the others' mindfulness, and it is reciprocal effect. So therefore it is highly appreciated not to talk. But thing is that I heard this is very strict in Goenka meditation centers. They strictly put it. And some people go from the normal day-to-day life, and when they are undergoing this kind of full silence for 10 days, some people can't cope up. There's a kind of the mental breakdowns can take place. And after coming back, they find some difficulties in talking and all the kind of thing. The best thing is to gradually cut down, understanding the disadvantages. Our hate and jealous are and the same, upekka and ekakata, as in the fourth jhana. And upekka as in the Brahma Vihara, and the upekka in the fourth jhana are they the same. In commentarial list you have 10 kinds of upekka: Brahma Vihara upekka, fourth jhana upekka, Sankara upekka, all what you find in the canon, put 10 kinds of upekkas, and out of that the best is Sankara upekka, what you get at the end of the insight knowledges, just before going into the fully the stream enterer. That is the best. But it says the hate and the jealous are the same. Difficult to say. Both of them are coming from the hate base, but the jealous has another companion, that Shasa, Irsha, and mycelianess, how do you call that? Stinginess. Stinginess is the opposite of the jealous. But both of them are come on the hate base. So therefore there are a lot of nuances, shades of meaning in the hate as well as in the desire. So therefore as you go on, you can understand, once you, at the first place you are understanding the difference between the hate and the desire, but they are different shades. So more and more you go there, you can understand they have different functions, they have different characteristics. Ultimate liberation is Nibbana, not to be born again. While we are practice meditation to reach this goal, most parents want their children to get married and have children so they could have grandchildren. why not discourage them not to have attachment and continuous samsara? So that is the how do you call, when the Buddha to be renounced the world, he got instruction from no one. Because anyone give the instructions, and as I mentioned in the interviews also, in the Western world, all the psychotherapy based on the self. So they remodel and reorganize and how to call that, recondition the self and give back. But the Buddha says the self is the main culprit. It's creating all the kind of things. So when and where this happens, you must try to understand the self and try to get rid of that. But instead what happens is always fostering it. So therefore parents are good for their job, but in giving instruction for the meditating children, I doubt. The children may be much more qualified and less corrupted when compared with the parents. Sorry to tell you. And this is very aggressive, very, how to call, negative towards the females, to the daughters, rather than the sons. Especially in Sri Lankan situation, that parents are not much worried about the males. They have their own liberation. But when and where the daughters, the parents have such a grip, the controlling, and therefore everyone has to go according to the way they prescribe it. But if they are also enlightened and know about the meditation, there may be some kind of a rationality in their decision, but not otherwise. So that therefore this is a kind of, for me, the easiest way is to handle the situation. Don't let your parents know that you are meditating. That is the way I did it. 8 years I was a robust young man, and my mother told I may have 2 girlfriends or something like that. That is the way I behave in the daytime. But when and where I have the time, I go and meditate. I never let know anyone that I am meditating, I am associating the noble friends. I just normal in the day-to-day life, normal run. In Sinhala we call Dawal Miguel Ra Daniel. That is, you behave in such a way, you are just normal madness in the day-to-day life. When you have your solitude, you take your own time for sitting and walking kind of thing. So this is difficult. For that you have to have common sense. Because the people, they are not, of course, forking the fingers into your psychology with hate. Of course, they are doing with compassion. But the limited knowledge, they can share with the happiness that they know. But when compared with the happiness that Buddha prescribed, he says that the Nibbana is avedaita sukha, that unperceivable. The Nibbana is something avedaita. So anyone can raise a question, if it is avedaita, if it is unperceivable, how can you say it as a pleasure? Because Buddha, whatever the pleasure, if it is subject to change, whatever the pain, it is subject to the pain, he says that is not the noble type. Anything subject to change is leading to the suffering. That's a simple equation in the enlightened language. So therefore, if you are seeking behind the pleasure making or pleasure seeking game, as and when they are changed into yet another one, the suffering happens. So therefore you have to come to the area, no pain, no pleasure. That is also not the Nibbana, and there only the middle path is there, eightfold path is there, and it leads to a certain area, to a place, your equipoise or equanimity or middle, finding middle is the most skillful job in this meditative life. So therefore this shifting of the paradigm of your values and likings and disliking is slowly taking place. So therefore your relationship with your dear and near one not necessarily a factor in meditation. You have to consider yourself as full-fledged individual and go ahead. So, and what they say is that after you become elderly, why not think about, and not at the young age. After when the children are married and kind of thing, that's the time for you to go and meditate. By the time the faculties and the senses are not very full-fledged. I mean, it is not bad. Something is better than nothing. But the Buddha says, earlier the better. Earlier the better. Explain divine ear and the divine eye. Is it normal to feel pulsation, vibrations in the body as you practice meditation? The divine ear and divine eye has two aspects. One thing is you can achieve it through the concentration meditation. The other one you can achieve, or you can get a deductive kind of knowledge through the vipassana. In the vipassana way, whatever you are hearing, whatever you are seeing, generally simply leading to suffering. So therefore, whether you get the hearing and seeing in the human sphere, whether it is coming from the celestial sphere, both are nothing but suffering. So therefore, the vipassana line, not much appreciating it. And through the vipassana, you can go into detail also. But in the samatha way, it says that you can go to you can listen to the others and you can see other things and kind of thing. But to entertain divine eye and the divine the ear, you must have a certain amount of egoistic idea, self-centered idea, otherwise you can't entertain it. So therefore it's a byproduct for samatha yogis, or people, those who are doing concentration line. But even then you have to do a special kind of meditation after going to all the possible jhanas, and then you have to practice for the divine eye and divine ear. Some details are available in Samanyapala Sutta. As far as the second part is concerned, the feeling, pulsation and vibration of the body, this is what I mean. In the breathing, at the beginning you see the individual characteristic of in-breath differs from the out-breath, out-breath differs from the in-breath, the discrimination characters. But as and when the meditation go deeper, everything appear in the sense, in-breath as well as out-breath appear like a pulsation, as a vibration. So you are bound to see that means you are heading towards the common characteristics. So there are sometimes while the breathing happens, you feel the whole body is nothing but a vibration. It's everywhere you feel these movements. So some people get frightened as to say what is happening. But it is happening in a gradual way. So you can come back to the breath, and if you wish you can go into that vibration, and more and more the concentration and the mindfulness goes. Some people find everything as a vibration. Some people find everything like a light. Some people find everything like a lightness. So different ways, whatever may be, leading to common characteristics. If one likes to meditate and reach the Nibbana in this very life, what will be your advice to reach that goal? Be mindful. That's all. Mindful, but don't try to achieve or result-oriented kind of thing. It has to happen, or it's according to its own accord. So when and where possible, give the chances for the mindfulness, and then mind and your common sense will understand what is the most appropriate. Don't let the rationality or rational thinking or deductive knowledge to take the upper hand. Always give the direct touch, direct experience, the mindfulness to take, and then slowly it is, as this particular sutta we are dealing, it says, as and when you see, as and when you know, you will never go back to the wrong, the frictional path. Naturally, mind will select the least frictional path. So mindfulness is the starting point, and in the out of 37 enlightenment practice, the mindful appear in 8 places. As you go on, the mindfulness is becoming very steadfast, very unbroken, like continuity. And that is the one really do the task, not the early part where the broken mindfulness happens. Broken mindfulness is the starting, and then only it goes to the unbroken mindfulness. Later you can determine and develop the mindfulness for the whole day. Of course, in the sitting you get a very good, very deep kind of thing, in walking little, but in the day-to-day activities also you can maintain it, but very thin mindfulness. So then you can understand the mindfulness has its adaptability, whatever may be the circumstances. Could you please explain about the right livelihood? It says to abstain from selling liquor, animal flesh, gambling, selling fish. Is it a sin to operate this business? What if they don't have any other way of living? So this is also gradual way you have to understand. You can't go to the complete 100% pure livelihood as far as you are in this life. Whatever you do, it is subject to the survival of the fittest, whether you like it or not. If you are powerful, you can grab all the lion's share, but the powerless person is getting it. So therefore what you have to do is, knowingly you must not do wrong things and withdraw as much as possible. If it compared to that, one of the meditating monk in Sri Lanka, he told, whatever you do except breathing is with kilesas, with defilements. Only in the breathing you can make sure, as far as breathing is your attention, then you can see that thought moment is free of defilements. All the other you do, there may be chances whenever you are talking, whenever you are doing, not only on killing and stealing and kind of thing, they are very transgressional kind, but everything is there. So what you have to do is, starting from the gross mistakes, take it back slowly to the cultured life, uplifted life, and the how do you call this, correct livelihood. Venerable, Kassapa is one of the highly praised disciple of the Buddha, born to a very rich family, and married yet another to a rich girl, and both of them have so much of properties and the business and kind of thing. One day the father asked him to go to the paddy field and to see the farmers are plowing. So when he go there, he see that a lot of ants, a lot of worms are coming out, and the cranes and the crows and coming and picking everything. And he found that unless otherwise farmer is not breaking the soil, the worms are at rest and the security, but when and where these plowing, they come out and the crows and others coming and pick. So he felt it is not done. But of course it is happening not with his intention, not with his this thing. But it's of course his field, and the farmers are hired by his father. So he asked his assistant, so I feel there is something wrong. Am I also going to get the share of this wrong thing? The other person simply say yes. Then he was boiling and telling, and when he go home and he has told his wife also, I feel that if as far as we are not living in a monk's life, begging and all the kind of thing, whatever we are going through, there's a kind of a share of this kind of livelihood is not perfect. So she says, when you go to the field, I ask my servants to put the paddy under the sun dryer. And over there also, she has found some animals are coming to take the paddy, yet another animal coming and picking these small creatures. And there also, she also has observed the same. So then they both agreed upon and they renunciated it. These are the theoretical maximum we can think about. But in our day-to-day life, we have to think about the gradual development. And as far as you are doing intentionally, you are going to get the lion's share of the bad effects, karma. But if you are slowly removing and refining, you have a meaning for the each and every moment you are living, each and every second you are living. So ever you have to think about refinement of the same, but you can't go completely 100% goodness. So it is when and where you become mindful, the Buddha says in a reciprocal way, if you do not have the mindfulness and the clear comprehension, you are damaging or you are destroying the base for the moral fear and the moral shame. So if you are mindful and the clear comprehension is there, there's a chance, there's a foundation for the moral fear and the moral shame. And then next step is, if you are not with the moral shame and the moral fear, or healthy shame and the healthy fear, you have no grounds, foundation for the restraining of the faculties, the eye, ear, nose, all the kind. And if you have a kind of a moral shame and the moral fear already established, there's a chance in time to come, you will be more concerned about controlling of the faculties. And first combination, if you have no concern about the restraining of your faculties, there is no virtues can take place. And in the other way, if you are already with the mindfulness, moral shame and the moral fear, and the restraining of the faculties, then there's a chance for the virtues to come and set in. And he says, Buddha says, virtues are the proximate cause for the, non-virtue is the proximate cause for the anxiety and self-curse, all the kind of thing leading to the mental situations. When and where you become morally sound, even you become poor, but your mentality will be healthy. So these things are happening in orderly manner. They are happening in the chain reactions. So therefore, and usually, as I mentioned in the first day itself, religious way of approach to the Buddhism, it says, before you become mindful, you must be virtuous. And then only the mindfulness practice can take place. But this particular sutta, it says, even if you are not coming from the Buddhist culture, Buddhist background, if you come to know about the mindfulness, when the mindfulness taking root, it is leading slowly to the virtue, the moral shame and the moral fear, the restraining of the faculties, and then to the virtues. So this is how you have to consider. But my idea is, or my concern is, never you can do this livelihood business in the plurality. Only you can do by yourself. You can't prescribe to someone. You can't prescribe the society to be like that, because it is not such a simple, straightforward thing. It's such a complicated thing. But you can make your determination. I will make my livelihood better day by day. Then you are the one to get the benefits. Telling that others are doing, it is not an excuse. And telling that my children and my parents are not doing, it is none of your business. You have to take your own. Then when that happens, others also, in American terminology, they say, others will get the good vibes. And the person who is doing good, maintaining the virtues, but not by loud talking, by behavior itself will be carrying the good message, but that must be true to type, just not by the advertisement sake, not for the, the moralist point of view. I find this moralist point of view is the worst thing in the world. And that is how people take the religion as a weapon and knock the other fellows. You are not virtuous. But the Buddha has not given any such executive powers for the second person. You can take it, whatever may be, and it's a matter of time. Slowly you have to go into betterment. You gave the analogy of the box of matches for the taints. Fire can be very useful and beneficial, so self and others, if used in the right way, it can be very destructive. If it is abused are the taints like that too. From the self point of view, if you are looking the whole phenomena from the ego point of view, this kind of argument can come, and it is not kind of leading, but more and more you go to the practice selfless kind of thing, more and more you go there, you will understand the taints and the influxes always create a friction. They are always creating a friction, but at the beginning, as I mentioned in the early question, at the beginning you can't think about the 100% clarity from the influxes. You have to get rid of as much as possible the gross one. Slowly go to the refinement. So when that happens, your perspectives, your attitudes toward these things also evolving. So this is the only way in the meditation, inside meditation is the only way. And the object also evolving, the person who is practicing also evolving. In the economic and the social and political, everything, object is fixed. And then you are trying to achieve it. But once you achieve the object, becomes nothing. But here in the meditation, your very object itself is evolving. So therefore, the first sutta in the Majjhima Nikaya, Sabbadhamma Mula Pariyaya Sutta, Buddha says that while you are practicing, your conceptual meaning of Nibbana or your understanding also evolving. At the beginning you have a concept telling this is the Nibbana, that is what I am going to go, but it is just a projection. It is just a mental projection, and it is just enough for the motivation to come. But as and when you are practicing advancing, breath become changing, and your attitude towards yourself changing, attitude towards the environment, your dear and near one, towards the Nibbana, everything is changing. So that is the point, the very difficult for a rationalist mind to think about. They get stuck in there. But the Buddha found the rationalization or deductive knowledge is limited by itself. So therefore one will have to burst breaking off, and there it appear like going against the grain. That is why the children and parents are fighting, and the students and the teachers are fighting, doctors and because whoever may be have any glimpse of non-self idea, it appear like something wrong for the society at large. There's one joke, it says, I don't know, this is just what I read. In Pakistan, due to the association of Afghanistan, there had been a time everyone is smoking hashish. Everyone. Whoever not smoking will catch and put into the jail, telling he is mad. So that is the way society catch you and put into the jail. Because we have to live according to the society says. That's why the Buddha says it is against the grain. Patisotagami. So that is the safest thing is, don't let the society knows that you are struggling against the grain. Then there won't be much of a... But ultimately you will get caught up. That is how you become brown. How can one get rid of the taints? Is it only when they rise to the surface that one can attack them? No, this is the Buddha says. Of course, when you when you know, only you can get rid of that. But as most of the question comes, these taints sometimes appear like a friendly, appear like a constructive, appear like a benevolent, but in the cheating form. So there you will hug and tell him, this is the only friend and this is the only thing going to give the real understanding for me. But ultimately you will caught up in the trap. So therefore just direct face-to-face fighting you can't do. With the taints you have to embark a guerrilla fight. How do you call this? Ambush. Attack whenever, otherwise you just wait like a no one. Whenever it comes, you don't allow the chance, you take it. Because it is also working in the perverted way. The example that easily you can digest is when and where the mind and body become calm and the object of meditation becomes subtle, we start to feel kind of agitation or irritation, uncomfortability, and what to do next. Either you entertain doubts or falling into the sleep. These are the kind of early signs of the taints. But if you understanding that, don't yield, don't get taints to take you for a ride. And if you can keep the middle path, whatever may be, I will not entertain doubts. I will not allow the mind to fall into sleep. I will just keep along with this, the subtlety, along with this unknown, along with this, even though it is bored, I will go. Then only you can see how the taints are coming and come out with lot of suggestions, lot of plans, all the kind of thing. That is just to shake you off from this non-self thought moment to the self. Non-ego kind of thought moment to the ego. So, even though you are listening and you wish to do, when it happens at the first and the second time, or number of times, you will succumb to this situation. And then only you will learn the art. Art means not to do anything, but just maintain the stream of consciousness without any intention, without any will, without any volition, just accept the thing as they are. And not doing anything. This is the way you can tackle the taints. Not only the taints, other the tendencies also, dormant tendencies. Is there a sutta where the Buddha teach walking meditation? Yes, there's one particular sutta known as Chankama Sutta. And this has been well interpreted and published by the Bodhinyana Society in Perth with Acharya Brahm. I don't know whether anyone knows Acharya Brahm. And Venerable Jnano, he has published this particular sutta. The name was, I think, the Thai method of walking meditation or something like that. And that Chankamanishansa Sutta, it is in Panchaka Nipata, that means book of 5, in Anguttara Nikaya. Would deal with the 5 benefits of the walking meditation. How do we discern constructive from the destructive criticism? Destructing ego is good, right? So, understand the constructive and destructive is not Buddhism. It is no any technique, it is common sense. So, therefore, you must have common sense. Buddha is not to teach you common sense. So, and no harm, even if you take the destructive criticism, you will get the bad effect, and then you have to see the relationship and say this is wrong. That is how you have to develop your own criteria, your own ways and means to measure the destructive and constructive. But the criticism is a good thing. You must allow everyone to air their views. You must not stop it. But when they are telling or suggesting, you must not accept as it is. You must understand how much it is benevolent, how much malevolent, how much destructive, how much constructive. And no one can, if someone is going to influence on that matter, I would say it is the most dangerous violation of the human rights. We have our own rights to listen to someone, but accepting is at our will. So more and more you go there, when and where your career, when and where your personality develops, it becomes easy. Otherwise, that when you are listening to radios and when you are listening to the TV channels and the books and all the kind of thing, the information technology is boring. So no one knows what to select and what not to select. But everyone says, this is the best. Listen to me. See myself. And all the kind of thing, they titillate you as much as possible. But you have to understand, you have limited time. So what are the beneficial, what are the non-beneficial, and that decides. And according to the Buddha, he says when there is a variety, that means something like a buffet diet, what you select indicates who you are. Wherever you go, there you are. Whatever you see, that you are. So, quantum physics, it says, the Schrodinger wavelength, the wave is running until the conscious eye contact it. Soon the conscious eye tackle this wave, the wave become particles, either material, either visual thing or sounds or taste or something like that. Unless otherwise the consciousness never disturb it, it is just waves. Once it become a particle, it has a shape, it has the manner, it is subjected to the gravity. As far as a wave, it is not subject to the gravity. You can't locate it. There is no pattern. So, we are going to say, in meditation, what we are going to say is, we are going to understand where are we going to employ our will, our intention, our volition. And slowly what you do is, withdrawing the volition towards your body, withdrawing volitions towards your verbalization, and withdrawing or restraining volition towards your mentality. Slowly, then you find the nature by itself is good. Unless otherwise you fork fingers with your volition. So this is called Sabba Sankhara Samatha. Sankhara means the volition. In the Anapanasati Sutta, the Buddha explained where the Kaya Sankhara, Passambayam Kaya Sankhara, it is happening at the first tetrad, and then Passambayam Chitta Sankhara, it is happening in the third tetrad. It is not talking about the Passambayam Vachi Sankhara, and slowly you withdraw. When you are withdrawing, the things are happening by their own accord, and by itself it is contented. By itself it is saturated, and you have just to entertain it. You have just to be happy with it. As far as you are going to manipulate, you get committed, and then you will end up with the guilt and all the kind of things. So in the normal example, it says you are being asked to sit by the side of the river, in the bank, in the dry place, supposed to see the river flowing by its own accord. Soon you are going to fork your finger, the water flow will be disturbed, and you will get wet. If you are going to put the leg, the bigger turbulence happen, and you will get wet. Your simple thing is how much you can sit and wait. When the thoughts happen, just see like a clouds, they pass. When the pain happens, just see they are coming to go. When the sounds happen, just see they are coming to go. And then only you will understand they are not permanent. Not only the in-breath and out-breath, they are also not permanent. You are going to take the mean advantage, so much so, as far as you are not intending something, not volitionally get involved, not employing your free will or any will. So that is how you become healed and come back home. When you come back home, you find everything is well and contented, and everything is something like well saturated. So, saying it says, the truth is desperately waiting at the center, but the people are running round at the periphery, telling they are in search of truth. So they are more and more run, they go more and more away from the truth. But the truth is center. It's just waiting. Whenever your energy reduces, what happens is you will be attracted to the center. More and more energy means, how do you call this, centrifugal and centrifugal, and the other one is, yeah, these two energies. More and more energy means you will be held up in the orbit, never allowing you to come back. So when you are releasing your energies, slowly it come back and settle in the middle. So this is the Buddha explain it as Sabba Sankhara Samatha. You try your best not to employ, not to fork fingers, not to develop, entertain any intentions, any will, any kind of thing. Let the situation happen. Their own accord. At the beginning with the body, and then with the verbalization, and later with the mentality. This is also being explained very well in this Chullavedalla Sutta, what I quoted in the morning, the discussion between the Dhammajiva and Visakha. She explained, as she understands, how this volition, bodily level, volition at the verbal level and the volition at the mental level works. That is the end of the written questions.
I have a question.
Yeah.
The Asava case.
Yeah.
You explained to us yesterday, I think, the day before, how the influxes of external stimuli that come into contact with the latent tendency, and then there's a spark. How is it the same as? I mean, how would you explain that in relation to the five aggregates? In five aggregates, we have sanya, and then we have sankara arising. Or I don't know whether it's a part of that, or I mean, is that the same as sankara, or is it something different? Or
all the five is like a holographic, this thing, everything represents everything. So, for the sake of understanding gradual teaching, the Buddha has mentioned this is materiality, this is feelings, this is perception, this is volition, and this is the consciousness. Mechanism is the same. For example, Chakkuna Rupan Dissa, Uppajjati Manapang, Uppajjati Amanapang. If I am to translate, whenever the visual objects avenues or come into the range of the living eye, the seeing happens. When and where the seeing happens, if you are not prepared and if you are not well trained, it's always colored by whether it is happening, what you see is good or bad. Uppajjati Manapan, that means you develop a kind of a liking if it's a good thing. If it is bad thing, you develop kind of a hatred or repulsion. So Buddha says that seeing is one operation, and developing the good and bad is what you projected upon what you see. It depends on your likings and disliking, your way you brought up, your cultural values and your perception. So therefore, while you are observing, you are keen to see, now I am seeing, not hearing, not touching, not smelling, not in the anapana, just I am seeing. And then you have a chance to see, not to let these taints, not let these views and the perception to take you for a ride. You understand, earlier I was listening, now I am seeing. Soon the visual object comes, the coloration is invariably happening, whether it is good or bad. So if you are just know, now my attention, my consciousness is related to the seeing, you have a better chance not to get into that taints. So there you are supposed to just note as seeing. Hearing. And there the natural flow will be disturbed. The natural gathering the momentum of the taints will be disturbed. And even then, even early meditators, they understand whenever the taints happen, once they have come up to the certain grossness also you can understand. Because you are not familiar with tackling the case. But when you keep on observing, when and where seeing happens, if you know that you are seeing, you can tackle the taints at the early outset, early startings. There only you get the controlling power, the mastering power.
So it is the taints that gives rise to the perception.
Yeah. So it is in the two ways, the asava, anusaya. Both of them are latent forms. Anusaya is a latent tendencies, asava is translated as the taints. So we feel quite familiar with our own asava. We feel quite familiar with our own likings and disliking. So therefore, whatever the five senses are going to contact with, we always have our own views, our own values, our own liking and disliking. So the Buddha is the first one. He saw these things are two phenomena. Seeing is one thing, attribution. And seeing is something coming out from the in. But the attributions are something coming from in to the out. So they are very swift. Unless otherwise you become very familiar. And if you are ready to see it, early part, you will be taken halfway to a right. But more and more practicing, you can catch and nip it at the butt level.
Can you say that this one can use during the Sankara process?
So when and where seeing happens, you see this is liking and this is disliking. So what happens is develop a motivation. I want to this, I do not want this. So then you get involved.
So before that, before the Vinaya occurs,
yeah.
Sankara then becomes Vinaya, concept. Right. During the Sankara stage, this is the active stage of the thing.
That is why you can't reduce it like to one thing. So even at the material level it is working. Even at the feeling level it is working. Perception level, the volitional level and the consciousness level. So different people tackle it according to their own ways. So you have to understand what is coming from out to in and what is the projection you do. So it and that is why the magicians, they do all the kind of tricks. They know how to tackle this particular point, and they give different things. And our views are changing from morning to evening, all because these mere projections, mere perceptions are just vanity. It has no substance. But we adhere to them, we foster them because this is my taste. This is my liking. This is my disliking. This is my personality. So you get hugged with. Ultimately that very thing come and destroy you. And the best book, I don't know whether it is available, The Concept and Reality. How a concept become a reality. Concept and Reality by Vanaya. He takes this, we call Papancha, how it happens at the Sankara level, at the perception level, at the feelings level. So you have to be very alert, and while it is happening, don't get discouraged. Let it happen, but have a full searchlight upon that, mindfulness, and see how we are being taken for a ride with these impressions. And we call that is the one created desire for me, this is the one created the hatred for me, like. But the Buddha says no, they are just titillating, and you are the one projecting the desire or the hate, and you are withstanding it, you are securing it, and you are committed, and then onward you can't see what is coming into the out, what is coming out to the in goes. The example given is, the banyan tree, and it is, the banyan seed is the smallest seed in the world, smaller than the mustard seed. And when it is growing, when you get the fertile land, the first stem is coming from down to the up. When you go there, the suckers start to coming from top to the down. And ultimately what happens is the the stem started is completely covered by the whole suckers. You see, this is the stem. But of course what you are pointing is to a suckers, not the stem. Stem is in between, and all the what external things are suckers coming from top to the down. And you can't make it out. So that is how the concept become a reality, and this changing happen. But unless otherwise you be mindful and tackle it, you will find fault with any person coming and telling that you are responsible. The Buddha says, can't help. You are the person responsible. That is why you can be your liberation. Not the second person. Not the second person creating this will. Not the second person creating this volition. You are the one. Be alert as and when the volitions are working, as and when the intentions are working. But I am not telling at the beginning to suppress the intentions, suppress the willness, or willpower, or free will, or volition. Just see how it coloring your this thing, the seeing, hearing, and all the kind of thing. And the one person is writing, in the book it says, that I mentioned this number of times. When they are writing the books in Tibet, they also accept the hell and the heaven. Tibet is a very cold country. They say if you are going to do wrong thing, you will be destined to a very cold place. Deep cold place, and if you are going to do good thing, you will be going to a very warm, nice place. But when they are writing the same concept in the Arab, in the desert, they also accept the hell and the heaven. If you are going to do good things, you will be destined to a very cool and evergreen forest, Sada Harita Vanareka. And if you are going to do bad thing, you will be destined to heat. This is the way. This is the interpretation of their hell is here heaven. Here the hell is their heaven, because they are brought up into cultures, and therefore this is how they put in. And that is how all the interpreters, all the people, they come and tell with their own experience. Yes, but they have seen less than 50% of the picture. So Buddha says, I see everything in a three-dimensional, so therefore, till you see, till you know, don't commit, don't arrive at a decision. Keep on observing, because that you see only very little fraction. And we are not happy to hear, happy to understand that we see only little. We think that we see everything. But you know that in the light waves, only the Vibgyor is a very tiny part. And beyond, and there are a lot of X-rays and all the kind of thing. And when someone can see X-rays, and we will say he's mad. But he can see a lot of things. And someone says the ultraviolet, we say he's mad because I can't see it. So that is how it is. It's a big range. From the matter to the energy, it's a complete wavelength. We see only one part as sounds, one part as visual. All the kinds. So we so adhere to that, and we try to prove it again and again, so much so we get entrapped into our personality view.
The process of forming consciousness is so quick, so that if you want to identify what is your mistake, then your mindfulness must be very, very extremely highly developed.
So that is why mindfulness you develop with the materiality. Then advance it to the feelings, and then to the perception, and then the volitions, and the very strange thing, or I would call that tupsitu rhythm is, consciousness is the one creating everything, but therefore consciousness can't see the consciousness. The I is the one see whole thing in the world, I can't see itself. For that you have to have a mirror. And therefore, whenever you are going to tackle the consciousness, just like you are going to have a clap with one hand. So vesting is knowing the game, knowing the perverted nature. The Buddha says you just try to see the game of the consciousness with respect to the materiality. And then go to the feelings. And then go to the perception. And slowly, when you go up there, you can understand how the magician is working. The consciousness is given as a magician. Vijnana Maya. Mayakar. So he is not happy to see his tricks. So therefore he keeps the audience always in front. Never allow someone to come behind. If someone come behind, he understands no magic over there. It's just cheating. In the magics. So that is why that many people get misunderstanding to tackle the problem from the consciousness point of view. Difficult. You have to have a very steadfast, full-fledged mindfulness at the level of early stages, and then only it is become qualified to. And at that, when you are passing the materiality, the body, the corporeality, others you can project and just forget about it. Leave it aside. Why should you prove it? Once you come to know, this is the truth. So therefore, first and second wise, you are not more going to disprove it, because by the deductive knowledge itself says, if this is so, that is definite it must be. So likewise that you have nothing to do the whole experiment. Somewhere you have to get the glimpse. What is the Buddha says? What is how the enlightened beings see at this world? And that is applicable for everywhere. Okay, now 6 o'clock. And we'll be meeting again for a Dhamma talk. What time?
So now retreat is end.
No, tomorrow.
No, yeah, and from today.
Today.
Today. We will have a single Dhamma talk at 7.
Okay. Thank you very much for taking part in the discussion. He is not talking about meditation, but he is talking about the quantum physics. He says this is how it is being presented. More and more you become condensed. More and more become inefficient. The energy become matter. Particles become mass. And that is how the Einstein came m is equal to mc square. Yeah, that's the rate. So therefore, even a tiny little particle is enough to give the full energy, but we don't know how to go back to the energies. We are trapped in this the condensed forms, and we recognize this as my home. The Buddha says no. You can go back to the complete energies, and there are no identity. It is not bonded to the gravity. You have no shape, you have no manners, and that is the real home. But when you go there, only difficulty is you can't throw a party. This is the biggest achievement in the world, but no one has thrown a party.
Today I became a Buddha, today I became enlightened, and I'm going to have a party.
Enlightened.